Mary had a little man.
We believe that all men are created
equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Today, members of the House of Representatives, in a bipartisan way, pause in solemn recognition of the violent attack on the Capitol that occurred 2 years ago on January 6, 2021. We are joined by the families of several heroic police officers who gave their lives protecting the Congress, the Constitution, and the country. We are gathered here to honor their memory and acknowledge with deep gratitude the tremendous bravery of the hundreds of officers who defended us at this citadel of democracy that fateful day. We stand here today with our democracy intact because of those officers. The violent insurrectionists stormed the Capitol and attempted to halt the peaceful transfer of power, a cornerstone of our republic. They failed. They failed because of the bravery and valor of the United States Capitol Police and the Metropolitan Police Department officers who fought heroically to defend our democracy. We will never forget their sacrifice, and we will never forget this day.
Today is January 6, 2023, which makes it exactly 2 years that the Republicans, held a little insurrection, tried to overthrow the results of a free and fair election, tried to destroy Congress. And today is like some sort of a weird reenactment. I don't know. They're doing it again. I mean, it is unbelievable. It is absolutely unfreaking believable what's going on in the House of Representatives. I will say for this insurrection, for this, destruction of this institution on the second anniversary of the bloody, violent attempt to destroy that institution, they're better dressed. They're better dressed than they were last. I mean, a buffalo headdress doesn't take much to undo, and appear a little bit better. But I will say that, the QAnon shaman dude, that guy, he's almost done serving his time, you understand, and we still haven't seen, Donald Trump frog marched. So just, and I will say that at this point, the QAnon shaman with his buffalo headdress has more dignity than Matt Gaetz has left. This is unbelievable, okay? I mean, what's going on in the Capitol right now is so amazing to me. We are setting history. We are actually making history. This is the first time in 164 years that the United States of America had difficulty, a lot of trouble selecting a Speaker of the House, a freaking Speaker of the House. This is what they can't forget about governing. This is a simple, class project, right? This is a simple, hey, choose a class president kind of a thing. This is just, the easiest, gimme that there is in, the governing thing for the 218th Congress that for the 118th, it just feels like the 218th. Feels like it. Feels like we've been here for 100 more years than we've been here. But it's just all part of the same chaotic insurrection. It's all part of the, I got to tell you, these insurrectionists, these Republican extremists, these traitors, these treasonists, these people who hate the United States, hate the self-governance, hate everything about it, the fascist trolls that are blocking us from being able to self-govern and move forward and get this show on the road. They're like herpes. You think it's gone away, and then it just flares up again when you least expect it, and that's what's going on today. So I'm watching now. So now we're on to, believe it or not, Lucky round 14 for Kevin McCarthy. Lucky round 14, everybody. We've been through 13 rounds of voting for a Speaker of the House, which is just all it requires is that the majority of the Republicans select somebody, and they just can't do it. They just can't do it. You know why? Do you know why? Because you do have these self-serving, self-centered, heinous, ugly people that don't give a whit about democracy. They don't give a damn about you. They don't give a crap about feeding children. They don't give a crap about border security. They don't give a crap about Ukraine. They don't give a crap about anything except themselves. And they're enjoying shaking down and humiliating Kevin McCarthy. Now, while I'm enjoying the humiliation of Kevin McCarthy myself, this is their party that they're humiliating. This is them doing it to themselves. So I guess I'm allowed to, enjoy the show, but why are they doing this? I'll tell you why. They have figured out that as long as they can appear on Tucker Carlson, as long as they can appear on social media, as long as they have platforms to fundraise upon, then they can do that and they don't have to depend on their party to fundraise for them. They don't have to depend on their party to even be on a committee anymore. You don't even need to govern anymore to be viable in the Republican Party as somebody elected to govern. You don't even have to, show the people back home that you can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never let them forget they're a man. You don't even have to do that much anymore. All you need to do is go on social media and become a miscreant and become, some sort of an obstructionist, become some sort of a fascist, become some sort of a hater of democracy, and people will give. They will give you freaking money. Lots of it. Lots of it. And so you no longer have to govern in order to win the governing race. It's just so unbelievable. I mean, these are insurrectionists who mindlessly lash out based on sheer hatred. And the hatred that they enjoy spreading pays them. I swear to God, they have no clear plan for the United States. They have no clear plan to govern. They have no idea what governing is or it looks like. Oh, so maybe there's no difference between them and the guy in the headdress. Maybe, yeah. So as of today, Kevin McCarthy has lost 13 votes and counting. Now, great news for Kevin McCarthy. His humiliation is getting less definitive. Yes, he is able to peel off by making backroom deals with certain extremists. I swear to God. He was able to peel off like 14 members, right? So now we're down to the basic impediment that we went in with, that we thought we had going in. The five, there's actually six now. Six never Kevins, right? And so at the beginning of this whole charade, we thought we would have to deal with five never Kevins, right? We thought we would have to deal with Biggs, Boebert, Getz, Good, and I think there was a guy from Montana who wrote, it was Matt Rosendale. He wrote an op-ed a couple days ago saying he would never vote for Kevin, okay? And it's in writing, okay? And this guy has hopes to run for the Senate out of Montana. So, he's a never Kevin in writing. So we thought, that those would be the five. Turns out there's actually six. There's a guy named Eli Crane from Arizona who is a freshman. He hasn't even been sworn in yet. But apparently he likes to go on Bannon's show a lot. And this is how he gets funds, right? He appears on uber right-wing fascist shows, white supremacist shows, people who really do intend to destroy the United States of America. And that's how he gets his haters to give to him. So there's six of them now. Six of them. Of those six, Kevin McCarthy needs to pick off three more. Three more. I can't imagine from this list of names, Biggs, Boebert, Crane, Getz, Good, and Rosendale from Montana, like which three are going to flip, are going to give Kevin the okay. He's given away so much stuff. I don't even think he has anything left to give.
all things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
No persons having received a majority of the whole number of votes cast by surname, a speaker has not been elected. 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 A speaker has not been elected.
Oh! There's one more that we have to add to that. That's already in the tank. Lucky number 13. Lucky number 13 did not turn out well for Kevin. Did not turn out well. So we're on to lucky number 14. Lucky number 4. Oh, for Pete's sake, for the love of Jesus. Oh, my God. I mean, does Kevin McCarthy have a shred of self-esteem left? How in the world is this man going to lead, after he's been rejected repeatedly by his own caucus? I mean, I don't even understand why he doesn't just step aside, withdraw his name. Not that anybody in that party is fit to lead this country. I mean, don't misunderstand me. There are zero people left in that party who have any moral turpitude or any courage of their convictions or any belief system that is, somewhat in line with a democratic, institution like the House of Representatives. I mean, there is no one there because no one speaks up, no one speaks out, no one actually, does anything about this charade, about this, dog and pony show that's going on up there on Capitol Hill. They just keep saying, no, we're just going to keep voting for Kevin. We're just going to keep voting for Kevin. I will tell you, Paul Gosar, he actually flipped. I don't know what he got. I don't know what, but there can't really be any power left in the speakers. I swear, I think at this point, everybody knows that Kevin moved into the speaker's office, right? Remember that? Kevin, had some of the personnel that are tasked with moving members from office to office come and bring his things, come and bring his belongings to the speaker's office, right? And Matt Gaetz actually wrote a letter to the architect of the Capitol saying, under what law or statute or under what tradition or under what House rule does the number 2 vote getter for the Speaker of the House get to move into the Speaker's office? I mean, this is how, snot-nosed Matt Gaetz is. This is how disgusting a human he is, that he just isn't content with humiliating the guy on the floor or going on, Fox News and humiliating the guy or tweeting about the guy or, truthing about the guy or fundraising off the guy's losses. He's not even content with that kind of humiliation. No, he has to actually write a letter to the architect of the House asking to please move Kevin McCarthy out of the Speaker's office. So I think at this point, all that's left for, I always say to you, before you pick a fight, know what you will have won if you win. Because you could win, but what will you have won if you haven't thought about what you want to win in the end and you're just fighting to fight? That's apparently what Kevin McCarthy is doing. He's just fighting to fight because what could he have won at the end of this? And I'm guessing that the thing that he will have won is just use of the office. I think that's all he wants. I think that's all he wants at this point is use of the office because he's given every other thing away. He has given to Lauren freaking Boebert, a person so powerful that she nearly lost her re-election after being a freshman, okay? Nearly lost her re-election to some guy whose name nobody knew, okay, who just said she is too bizarre for Colorado. We have to do something about her, and threw his name into the ring, okay, and stood for, stood for election. And Lauren Boebert beat him by like 2 votes, like a vote and a half, or some tiny, like 300 votes, I think it was. And now she's actually calling the shots. I mean, her and Matt Gaetz are calling the shots in the nation's capital. These are the people that broke the freaking compact. They broke their oath to protect and defend the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. They're insurrectionists. You understand that, right? They're lawbreakers. And the law that they broke is one of the least used statutes on the books because we never really see people trying to overthrow the United States government these days. But they actually did participate in that effort. And if there was any justice in this country, they already would have been, taken to the hokey. They would have been in the hoosgow. They would have been, taken by, a paddy wagon and thrown into the pit. They would have already stood trial. They would have already been convicted of, insurrection. But oh no, oh hell no. Now they're literally holding. Oh, now there's a motion to adjourn. I guess it's not going to be lucky number 14. I just don't know. But, what does he have to give, really? So Boebert and Gaetz, what is it that they want? Besides for, the ability to humiliate Kevin McCarthy in public. What do you think they want, besides for the ability to fundraise off of pure hatred for the United States form of government? What do you think they really want? I mean, I was talking to some friends and they said, I think that Lauren Boebert and Matt Gaetz are going to have a love child, and they're going to want their love child to have, the gavel on the Judiciary Committee or some such guy. And I said, oh, please, Lauren Boebert is completely too old for Matt Gaetz. There's no way they're going to have a love child together. Gaetz doesn't like them over, once you're legal, it's not for him anymore. But I mean, can you believe this stuff? I cannot believe this. I cannot believe where we are as a country. I can't believe. And, the Republicans are sitting there telling you that this is just a debate. This isn't a debate. There is no debate going on. There's no debating. Do you hear any debate going on? Because I don't hear any debate going on. I just, they're just voting. They're just voting and voting and voting some more and voting some more and voting some more. What's really going on is in the back room. What's really going on is in the smoke-filled back room. It's so interesting because Gaetz and Boebert, they say that the thing that they're against is, the swampy nature of Washington. They have created the swampiest of the swamp, scenarios, right? Where Paul Gosar got something in order to switch his vote from Jim Jordan or from Mr. Hearn and he literally voted for Kevin McCarthy. And what's really interesting is that in the last possible moment when they were literally calling Gosar's name, he was in the back of the house talking to Gaetz. And I don't know what they were talking about, but you could see Gosar got completely disgusted with whatever Gaetz was telling him. And he broke away and went to the microphone and cast his vote for McCarthy. And the Republican caucus was like shocked. They were like, oh my God. So something went down. Something happened. Something is, given to Paul Gosar. Paul Gosar, a white supremacist, was a white supremacist with a very, very unique form of aphasia. A white supremacist who's obviously not well got something to vote for Kevin McCarthy. Wow.
Next, to speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
All right, happy Friday, you bastards. So let me show you this moment here. This is amazing to me. Okay, so you're going to see, Gaetz and Gosar talking to each other in the back of the chamber, in the back of the House. And then Gosar's name is going to be called. He's going to go up to the microphone and he's going to cast his vote.
Gosar. McCarthy.
Look at his face. Look at this, this backbencher's face. Oh my God, what did he get? What did he get? And you know what everybody thinks he got? You know what everybody thinks that they got? These are people, and you must remember this, these are people that really do despise America. These are people that would like to see us broke. They would like to see us broken. They would like to see, themselves, be able to destroy the United States of America as we have come to know it. And it seems to me that the only thing that they would want that McCarthy would give them is the ability to default the United States of America when the debt limit vote comes up, right? And it seems like that is really what Paul Gosar and some of the others who flipped over for Kevin McCarthy were promised that they could have. Now, Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert and some of the other insurrectionists, I'm guessing that they got, they can't get promises from McCarthy that they won't go to jail or that, they won't be charged because, McCarthy can't give them that because that would be the Department of Justice, right? That would be the special counsel that we have toiling away in the background. While this is all going on, Jack Smith is still going about his business. He's still, the independent counsel that is charged with figuring out which members of Congress were complicit in helping the Proud Boys, in helping the insurrectionists, in helping the Oath Keepers to literally conspire to overturn the government, right? We already know that, this creature of, Stuart Rhodes, he's been convicted of conspiracy to commit sedition, right? Seditious conspiracy. And there are others, there's more trials that are underway. There are more trials to begin this year of these people. And, obviously, once this is finally adjudicated, once the jury, the grand jury in D.C. gets to hear there's going to be other indictments. And it could include these Andy Biggs and Lauren Boebert and, Gaetz and, Good from Virginia and a whole host of them. I'm guessing Marjorie Taylor Greene feels like she extracted something from Kevin McCarthy that would give her cover. And she's secure with whatever it is. Or either that or she's dumber than she looks. And she looks pretty dumb. But obviously Gaetz is, he doesn't trust Kevin McCarthy to have his back. That's his whole thing, right? And so he's like trying to put a straitjacket on Kevin McCarthy, on his power, on his ability to control the caucus, right?
There's a reason Kevin McCarthy doesn't want to continue having votes, and it's because with each vote, he seems to be decreasing in his vote share, and we've only increased with votes in our vote share in opposition to Kevin McCarthy. We suspect that that trend is likely to continue, and I think this ends one of two ways, Trace. Either Kevin bows out, realizing there's no path for him to become Speaker of the House, even if he picks up 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 of the 20 who have opposed him half dozen times on the floor, or he essentially has to wake up, bring the House into session and put on a straitjacket with a rules package that we've presented to him that doesn't allow a lot of discretion for the Speaker of the House. The reason we've demanded that is that we do not trust Kevin McCarthy, and it's not a small body of work. The guy's been in leadership in Washington, D.C. for 14 years, and this town needs to change, and we're going to change it one way or the other.
One way or the other, whether it's by blood, whether it's by violence, whether it's by hobbling the Speaker of the House, whether it's by defaulting the United States of America, whatever it takes, we're going to bring this place down to the ground. We're going to burn it down to the ground. That is what he is saying on the Fox News channel, okay? It is what he's saying. And, every time he says it, he gets money. Every time he says it, people give him money because there are people in this country that really hate this country, that really want to see America end. They want to see it destroyed and replaced with, being a fascist dictatorship or, reinstalling. I swear to God, it's true. I mean, Bannon on his show, he's like, no, I don't think that they should change their vote. Why not choose Donald Trump, really?
My vote right now is why not Trump? If you got to have a nasty piece of work in the room negotiating, give me the nastiest. And Trump in a negotiation is a beast. Okay, so why not Trump? Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Okay, I'll answer that for you, Steve. Because Donald Trump got exactly 1 vote. And that 1 vote came from Matt Gaetz. Okay? Donald Trump, for the people that were calling and saying, don't you think that, they're clearing the way for Donald Trump got exactly 1 vote. 1 vote. I said he couldn't get 218. I didn't realize he could only get 1. And the 1 vote that he got was from Gaetz. And Gaetz is trash-talking Trump on other media channels, and so is Boebert, right? So, I don't think it's going to be Donald Trump, but they do like showing up on his platform. They do like sitting there talking to him because they raise money every time they go on his show and talk down this country and talk down America and talk down our ability to choose the direction we want to go in as a collective, as a country, as voters, as people who have power on election day. Do you know? Honestly, and Jeannie Pirro, she's busy trashing Boebert.
Lauren Boebert, you know, with all due respect, I mean, the woman barely won her race.
Right.
You're holding out until Kevin falls. What is the alternative? What do you want? What is the option? What can people agree on? You want the Republicans to vote to get the Democrats to get a Speaker of the House? Can you imagine Nancy Pelosi saying, let me get some Republicans so that I can be the Speaker? I can put them on committees. This is an embarrassment. And I got to tell you that it's gone on long enough. It shouldn't have happened this way. He's done everything. You're lowering the threshold to boot him to one person to get a vote, to boot him out of Congress.
Right.
This guy raised $250,000. Half these people voting against him. How much?
Billion. He raised $250 million.
Okay, but for the House.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
all right. And these people that he gave money to are voting against him. What do they want? They have no other alternative. They're egomaniacs who've got no answers, and they ought to just be quiet and just go along with the majority at this point. If you don't want to vote for a bill, don't vote for it. And that's the end of it.
You know, they're so dishonest. I mean, he raised $250,000, $250 billion, $250 billion for the House races, okay? Which tells you something, okay? There's something bigger and badder and more than money that these insurrectionists, traitors, terrorists, whatever you want to call them, I will call them terrorists, want. And you know what it is? They want to burn it down to the ground. They want to default the United States of America. They really do. This is why they want to be on the Rules Committee. This is why they want to. And the other group that is voting for McCarthy, okay, all they want are chairmanships. They want gavels. They want to fundraise that way, okay? Jordan, he wants to sit on judiciary. He wants to impeach the entire Biden administration. That's all he wants. He wants to grandstand for the next 2 years.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
I think it's a perfect storm of the fact that you've got 7 to 8 members who would blow up that chamber if it would get them on Tucker Carlson's show, combined with the fact that McCarthy's weak and pretty untrustworthy. And that goes back to, you know, when I was in Congress 8, 9, 10 years ago. Members over the years just don't trust him because he'll say anything to anybody. But Caitlin, this cannot be said enough. Gates, Boebert, and a handful of these members love this. They love what's going on right now. In fact, these people would prefer to be in the minority so they'd have an opposition they could go on Fox News about and yell about every night.
Right. They're not for anything except destruction of the United States of America. And so some of them extracted some promises from Kevin McCarthy to impede the ability for the United States to raise the debt limit so that we can continue on as a nation. Now, that's bizarre, but it's also unconstitutional. I mean, there are schools of thought, everybody, that say that the full faith and credit of the United States shall not be questioned is bedrock. It's bedrock. It's in the Constitution. And if the strict constructionists and the textualists and, the current makeup of this crazy Supreme Court is true to their word, but we know they're liars too. They lied under oath. They truly did. They lied under oath about Roe v. Wade being a double precedent. Well, it's precedent upon precedent, right? They lied, and they overturned Roe v. Wade, like first thing out of the gate after lying to get those positions. But if they are, at all connected to their ideological view of the Constitution, that it is, as written, then it clearly says that the full faith and credit of the United States shall not be questioned. Well, let me tell you something. You have an entire caucus now that wants to question it. You have an entire caucus that is interested in defaulting and breaking the United States that way. That way. Now remember, they've tried 8,000 different ways to break the United States, right? They tried to send up fake electors. They tried to go to court and say there was election fraud without any evidence of election fraud. They tried to, pick off state legislators and get state legislators to send a separate slate of electors. They tried to call and shake down, at least we know one state, Georgia, right? We have the recording of the president then of the United States, literally trying to intimidate and bully the Secretary of State of Georgia, okay, into finding him 11,890 votes, right? We have the intimidation of election poll workers. We have Rudy Giuliani pointing a finger at Shea Moss, pointing a finger at, various, they stuffed ballot boxes. They did this, they did that. Yeah, I mean, and when that didn't work, they said, okay, go ahead, go be violent. Go. It's our 1776 moment. Go into the Capitol. Go ahead. Go hunt down Nancy Pelosi. Hang Mike Pence so he can't certify the results of this election. And they're not done. That's the crazy part. They're not done. Now they're going to try and get the United States to default on its debt. You understand that, like I said yesterday, who needs football when you got the GOP? But honestly, at least in football, it's the players that agree to be hurt. In this scenario, it's you and me that are going to get killed. It's you and me that are going to get hurt. We're going to take the battering. And Manu Raju reported as much today.
One very important thing he said that was part of the deal is dealing with raising the national debt limit. He just told a group of us that they address this issue. This is going to be a major flashpoint in the new Congress. They have to avoid a debt default, and that's going to happen sometime this year, maybe in the middle part of this year. He said there's some agreement on how to deal with that. One thing he said is they would not agree to a clean debt ceiling increase, meaning they need some conditions tied to avoid a national debt default, which has never happened in American history. So that is going to be a huge fight going forward. But from what Scott Perry just told a group of us, that was part of this deal that has not yet been publicly released, but that apparently was reached between a handful of these holdouts and Kevin McCarthy. So this deal, not just process, giving them more leverage over the speaker, that being able to oust a sitting speaker with one individual doing that, having more members of those hard right Freedom Caucus on some of the key committees, but policy implications as well in dealing with the national debt ceiling.
I'm telling you, they are truly interested in hobbling, breaking, burning down the whole thing. This is leftover Tea Party crap where the only good government is a dead government. The only this is why Donald Trump was so able to latch on to this and ride that tiger into a presidency, right? Because the Tea Party had come ahead of him and told this group, this minority of Americans who are gerrymandered into power, right? That we don't want a government. We don't want a government. You want to break the government. You want to destroy the government. You want to bleed the government. You want to hobble the government. You don't, we have to drown it. We have to make it small enough that we could drown it in a bathtub. This is what they do. This is what they've been. When you say eyes on the prize, this is their prize. Their prize is the complete and utter destruction of the American way of life. And default is part of their scheme. The other part of their scheme is making it so chaotic on Capitol Hill. That's why they want to be on the Rules Committee, okay? They want to make it so chaotic up there that nothing can get done. That's kind of their plan B. That's their backup. God forbid we should, actually make progress in the 21st century. God forbid we should build something. God forbid we should repair our roads, our bridges, our tunnels. God forbid we should, build, charging stations or battery plants in the Midwest and in the southern portion of this country where, we've learned to refer to that portion of the country as the Rust Belt. God forbid we actually make progress. They will never win again, ever. So they need a reset. And you know what the reset looks like? We all go broke. I swear, it's going to be, they're not happy until we're all, just grapes of wrath territory, until we're all in the Dust Bowl again. This is so sick and it's so cynical. and so anti-American and so counter to everything we tell ourselves that America is about, that I actually heard people today quoting, it was, what's his name, from South Carolina, who was on the floor today nominating for the 13th time Hakeem Jeffries. And he said, you know, that there's some discussion about who actually said this, but he thinks it was Alex de Tocqueville. And he said that America is great because America is good. And once America stops being good, America stops being great. And I believe that. I believe that with my whole being, my whole heart. We are not perfect. We are not, any better or worse than Sweden or than, any of the other great democracies on this planet. We're just a country that's great because we're a country that's good. And we're not, they don't want us to be good. They want us to, fail. They literally wish us ill. They don't wish us well. So anyway, the House just voted to adjourn until 10 o'clock tonight. 10 o'clock on a Friday night? That's all right, so here's what I think now. Listen, it's fluid. The whole thing changes like on a dime, right? But still, everything is, on track for Kevin McCarthy to fail, right? They're just down to the same number that we believed going in was going to be against McCarthy, and it would be enough to keep him from ascending to the speakership, right? So we had 5 Never Kevins. Now we have 6 Never Kevins. So they adjourned until 10 o'clock tonight. Now, the only thing that we know would change the number of votes Kevin McCarthy needs to have in order to win is who's present. Who's present. I can promise you that every single Democrat will show up tonight at 10 o'clock at night. They will all be there. 212 of them. We had one guy today, I think he's from Maryland, who had surgery because he had scheduled his surgery before this became apparent that we would be in round 14 of picking a speaker because we had never even gone to a second round. So he got permission from House leadership to have his surgery on his foot. It looked like he had a boot on his foot, so I'm going to guess it was foot surgery. And I swear to God, the guy had to go in, have his surgery this morning, and then he went back. He went back and reported for duty, sir, and showed up again in the Democratic caucus. So you can just bet that all the Democrats will be there tonight. Now, if all the Republicans aren't there tonight, then the number present drops. Therefore, the majority that Kevin needs to have also drops. And that just might be the way that he backdoors his way into becoming the Speaker of the House. How sad, how cynical, how disgraceful. The man can't even lead his caucus.
Mary had a little man. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Will you be okay then if there's ultimately a deal struck with moderate Democrats that give Democrats kind of co-control of the committees? You're fine with that?
No, absolutely not. That will not happen. There are two potential scenarios here. No, listen, I'm on the floor, Laura. These 212 Democrats are going to vote for Hakeem Jeffries every single time. He is a historic candidate for them. They are not going to cleave off under any circumstance. I assure you that if Democrats join up to elect a moderate Republican, I will resign from the House of Representatives. That is how certain I am. I can assure your viewers that won't happen.
Let's do that. Let's do it. Let's do it, everybody. Let's do it.
That would be incentive for a couple of them at least to possibly think about it, to get rid of him.
It's ideal. It's ideal. We would get a moderate Speaker of the House. We wouldn't default the United States of America, which is going to be a thing. It is. In the near future, it's going to be a giant, huge thing. Giant. Huge thing. Okay? These are the people that spend money like drunken sailors without paying for anything, a $1.7 trillion tax cut, and then they turn around when they're in charge of distributing monies, and they say, oh, deficits don't matter. They don't matter. We're going to do a $1.7 trillion. We're going to give $2 trillion away to the wealthiest Americans. Okay, that's what we're going to do because they're the donor class, and we owe them. We owe them big and bad, so we're going to pay them, and we're not going to pay for it, and we'll just put it on our tab. And then as soon as Democrats are in control, they start bitching and moaning about, spending and deficit. And what they really, really long for is to steal. That's why chaos, people, is to steal what's left over after they default us. Now, when they default us, you have to understand the money for things like Social Security and Medicare are off budget. They're not in the budget. They are not discretionary items. Now, you know that they would like to make them part of discretionary spending so that they could steal the Social Security and Medicare trust funds, which have trillions of dollars in them. And that's why they would like, to run the Rules Committee. This is why they want the Budget Committee. This is why they want, since 1993, Medicare and Social Security have not been on budget. They're not things that anybody, in the Congress by a majority vote can cut, you see? And they are after that money. And I've told you this for years now. And the only way that they think that they can do it is to make Social Security and Medicare part of the on-budget discretionary spending items. And the only way they could do that is if they default the United States, say, we just don't have any money. We just don't have any money. So now we have to go take the Medicare and Social Security Trust Fund. I'm telling you, they're going to crash our country. They're going to crash the entire global economy. And they think that, they'll team up with the fascist autocrats, the Putins of the world and the Hungarian Viktor Orbáns of the world, who Tucker Carlson, he just loves these guys. And so does Steve Bannon. And so does Matt Gaetz. And so does Lauren Boebert. And so do a lot of traitors in this country. Want an autocracy. They want to see America taken down. And they feel like from the ashes, they will rebuild their fascist future. And I'm telling you, they've never given up on this. The insurrection continues. The attack on American institutions, democracy itself, continues. Now, I don't know why Kevin McCarthy is willing to let himself be so humiliating. I don't know why. He is willing to take the speakership by virtue of his members not showing up to vote for him. But it looks like that's the plan. It does. Because they just, Lucky 14 was not lucky for him. Lucky 13 was not lucky for him. Okay, he knows that he's got these 6 members and he has nothing left to give. Nothing. He's already given them, Lauren Boebert, she wanted one person to be able to stand up, raise their hand, and call for the removal of the Speaker of the House. And he said, yeah, you could have that. You could have that. And then, in the back room there, today he flipped, 14 votes? He flipped 12 votes, 14 votes, whatever it is. And he did it by telling them, don't worry, I'll let you default the United States. Don't worry. We'll do it. We'll destroy the United States from within. I'm still down for that. I'm still on board. You have to believe me. And they're like, Kevin, we don't believe a word you say. You have proven yourself to have absolutely no value in a handshake. No, your word has no meaning. It has no value whatsoever to us. We want it in writing. We want it in writing. As if, who's going to enforce that contract? Okay. I don't even know why they want it in writing, because there's nobody there to enforce the contract that says, yes, we will default the United States of America and bring it to its knees. I have no idea why they think that that's worth something, but they made them put it in writing in order to get their votes. And they gave it. And they gave it. And there was nothing left to give except that, because he'd already given up. One person could object to his speakership and cause complete and utter chaos. He had given up, chairmanships to and committee positions to people who were in line, meaning through the seniority system, had earned their way onto committees, and he bumped them off in order to put, freshmen, for God's sake, in order to put, people that you never heard of, like, who the hell is Andy Harris? Right. And, Andy Harris got his, he switched his vote at the end. So, and Gosar, what was he able to give him? If he was able to tell him, don't worry, we'll destroy the United States. I'm telling you, we're in for the ride of our lives here. We really are. And, one of the things you can do before this is all said and done is call the House. Call your member if you're in a red district. Like if you're in Lauren Boebert's district, there are enough people there that didn't want her to return to Congress that it could make a difference by calling her freaking office and telling her, cut the crap. Just cut it out. Same thing with Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz is, he's got an office. He's in Florida. It's just, you could call Eli Crane's, Arizona office. You could call, Bob Good in Virginia and tell him, cut the crap. Arizona, Florida, we're responsible for sending some of the worst people. The worst people. Biggs is from Arizona. Gosar, is from Arizona. These are people that really want to destroy this country. There is no question what they want. And they were promised a chance to do it. It's not enough for Boebert and it's not enough for Gaetz because they don't trust Kevin. And they understand that even putting it in writing, there's nobody to enforce any agreement to destroy the United States. There is no place you could go to enforce an agreement like that. So I don't even know why some of these members wanted it in writing, but they did. Brother David.
Playground bullies and locker room jerks, Randy. That's why.
Merry Christmas, my friend. I got all those gifts you sent me, and sent Brett, and sent Howard, and sent Sean. Oh, my God.
Well, I work at a novelty store, and I wanted to give you a remembrance after the year we all had.
Oh, that explains all the kitsch. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm so glad you got them.
I just want to let you know, like one of the gifts that Brother David sent our way. I don't know who this was for. I got them all mixed up, just telling. But he sent us a pot holder that was in the shape of pot. Now,
it was for Howard.
Oh, it was for Howard. Okay, I gave it to Brett.
That's fine.
And I took the Cheech and Chong socks.
Yeah, he took the Cheech and Chong socks. Yeah.
Well, that's all good. It's all good.
It was all
in the family.
Yes.
The calling. Absolutely. Call. Because it's what we got left. Because they are doing Einstein's The Definition of Insanity.
Right.
The same thing over and over again.
Right.
I love you always.
Thank you very much for he sent so many presents. He sent all kinds of cool socks. He sent dish towels. Dish towels that said, I have girl power. So, as I'm scrubbing my countertop, I'm supposed to look at this and go, yeah, I got girl power. While Howard sits there and smokes the pot and I clean. Yeah, okay. No, get it. They were fabulous gifts. And he gave me a bobblehead, a couple bobbleheads. I mean, just fabulous things. And all in leopard. Fabulous leopard. Because it's leopard for Christmas. Leopard Christmas bags. There was so much stuff. Thank you, David.
Truth to Power, The Randi Rhodes Show.
Here's another beauty from Florida. This is a guy named Greg Stubbe. It's Greg Stubbe, everybody.
And every day that we sit up here negotiating this and these 20 members holding out on who the mass majority of the conference voted to be speaker is a day we're not working for the American people and fighting against the Biden agenda. Is a day that Jim Jordan can't get on the Judiciary Committee and start having oversight and investigating the FBI, the DOJ, Hunter Biden, Afghanistan, you name it, all the things that we talked about doing during the campaign, which is why the American people put us in these positions. We can't do anything until a speaker is elected.
This is what they think America voted for them to do. They think that America voted so that they could defund the FBI. I swear to God. They think that, we want to watch the impeachment of one of the most successful presidents we have had in modern history. Okay, a guy who was able to win a bipartisan support and pass a bill and sign it, bipartisan bill, to invest in our infrastructure, something that we haven't done since Eisenhower. But they think that we voted for them so that they could investigate the DOJ and the FBI and Joe Biden and Hunter Biden's laptop, okay, while they create all of this chaos by defaulting the United States. Oh, my God. Ken in North Carolina.
Hello?
Hey, Ken.
Hey, Randy. How you doing?
All right. How are you?
Good. I'm a long-time listener, first on caller.
Obviously. Could you take me off the speakerphone, please?
Yeah, just a second. Okay, is that better?
Oh, God, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
I was wondering, can you find out who authorized the removal of the metal detectors in the Capitol building, please?
The Republican caucus voted to have them removed. It wasn't a person. It was them as a group. They voted to have them removed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why?
All right. Thank you, Randy.
Okay. Why? Johnny in Texas.
Hey,
Hey.
What do Lindsey Graham, George Santos, Donald Trump, and Matt Gaetz all have in common?
They're liars.
That's right.
And
So
they
why
hate
would-
this country. They really do.
So why would we believe Matt Gaetz is going to resign his post if the Democrats do what he thinks they're not going to do? Please.
Oh, I wish that would happen. I really do. I wish that the Republicans would cross the aisle, go to the Democrats and say, okay, give us names. Tell us, who in our caucus is, moderate enough for you to, cross the aisle and get this thing done. Because Matt Gaetz says if that happens, he will resign. And that's a twofer as far as I'm concerned.
But it's unenforceable, and he won't resign. That's number one. But
I know.
But number two, what the Democrats need to do, and I've already expressed this wish to AOC, Rashida, Ilhan, and a bunch of other Democrats, both progressive and not so progressive, is that the Democrats need to have ready to go a small list of reasonable demands, a short list of two. Demand number one, that they give 40% of their committees, the leadership roles, to the Democrats. And if they give any balk about that, say, okay, we want 60% now. And number two, what was number two now? I forgot. I'm so happy. I might call you back and let you know.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, power sharing would be great. It's just not on the table, okay? It's not going to happen. And if anything that looks like power sharing were to happen, what would happen is that Hakeem Jeffries would succeed because of too many absent people on the Republican side. See what I mean? So, that would lead to power sharing. Nothing else will lead to power sharing. Nothing at all. The best that we could hope for is that Kevin McCarthy has had enough humiliation. He's got the crap kicked out of him in public. He is just, he's brown-nosed. He's sucked off of, everybody. He's promised to default the United States to the Paul Gosars of the world, whatever he had to do to tell. And he realizes he still can't win, and he steps aside. And then we have a vote over the weekend. And Hakeem Jeffries gets he gets the majority of the people present, and he becomes the speaker and enters into a power sharing agreement with them. That would be delicious. That would be the best result. But that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because Kevin McCarthy will never be humiliated enough to give up the idea of being Speaker of the House. You know why? Because he just really only is interested in having the stationery and the office. He doesn't really want the job. In fact, very few people do. Very few people want to be Speaker of the House, especially this House, with this particular caucus, with this particular Republican caucus. I mean, it's a very time-consuming job. You have to be on the phone all the time. You also have to fundraise for your members. You also have to deal with, infighting and all that. I mean, he just wants the damn office and the stationery, and then he'll leave in 2 years because this will be the shortest speakership in the history of this country, and he'll go to a nice little lobby shop. That's kind of what his future looks like. But in order to get to use the office and the stationery, he had to give away not only all his power, but probably the full faith and credit of the United States. He probably had to give that away too. Gary in Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
I guess I could say the same thing about being the president of the United States. I mean, who would want that pressure and responsibility? Who in their right mind? But that isn't what I called about. for years you've been
Yes,
claiming.
but at least, let me just say this. At least in the presidency, okay, you are a one-man, or maybe, you rely on your vice president, you rely on your cabinet members, but you basically are the final word on anything you want, okay? Just about anything you want, except you can't spend money. But the House, my God, you gotta corral and cajole and 435 of these people.
I agree, but in other words, neither one of them are for me. Let's put it that way. So you've been claiming for years that they want to do away with Social Security, do away with Medicare, do away with Medicaid, defund the FBI, defund the IRS. In chaos, they can steal.
Mm-hmm.
But what is in it for them for doing this? It's not like Boebert is going to walk away with a big bag of money if this happens. I don't get it. What's in it for them? What's their incentive?
Well, they'll be the new oligarchs, right? Everybody that wants to do business will have to go through them.
So like Russia, in other words.
Right, exactly. Anybody that wants to do business in this country will have to go through them and grease them and pay them.
Well, that's a very evil thought.
Oh, yeah, but that's what fascists are all about. I mean, you would say to yourself, like, why would anybody want to destroy, democracy? Because they want something other than democracy, and what could that be?
So it's greed.
Right, it's oligarchy. Of course it's greed.
Always comes back to money, doesn't it?
And they become the most powerful people on the planet, right? You want to do business in the United States, you have to go through Lauren Boebert and Matt Gaetz and Andy Biggs.
I have a feeling I'm not the only listener that wondered that.
Yeah.
All right, Randy, have
You're
a good
right.
weekend.
You're right. You're probably not. But, it's the simplest explanation is always the correct one as far as I can tell, Occam's razor being what it is. But yes, the reason to destroy democracy, which is messy and time-consuming and requires consensus and, requires a majority of the votes, sometimes a super majority of the votes. Screw that. They don't want that. They want an oligarchy.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randy, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
All right, we got jobs numbers today, and they were really good.
Some good economic news. The U.S. economy added 223,000 jobs in December. That number a bit better than expected.
CNN chief business correspondent Christine Romans is here to tell us what it really means. So as Jim always reminds us, and rightfully so, you tell us to look at the trend. So the trend here is an economy that's showing resilience in the face of these jumping interest rates. But is that the full story?
The full story here is it's robust, it's resilient, it's strong, but it's cooling a little bit. And that's what everybody wants to see. The Goldilocks scenario, not too hot, not too cool, showing signs that the Fed's medicine is starting to work. Let me show you that trend. 223,000 net new jobs added. Look, guys, that is very clear here. This is the smallest number of new jobs created since December 2020. In any other time, 223,000 jobs would be enough to be screaming from the rooftop that this was a strong economy. So please keep that in mind. The unemployment rate, a new 50-year low here, 50-year low at 3.5%, matching a number we have hit in the past. And then here's where the sectors are pretty broad-based, except for places like professional business services saw some losses there. Tech, obviously, is where you're seeing some of the layoffs. But in hospitality, in healthcare, in construction, and manufacturing, still seeing some broad-based gains outside of those headline areas where you've been hearing some trouble. Guys, bottom line, 4.5 million jobs created in the year. That is a whole boatload of jobs. The second most robust year in American history for job creation. So a very strong 2022, showing signs of cooling a bit at the end. Wages up 4.6%. Sounds great. That's down a little bit. Wage growth starting to show again signs that the Fed's medicine is working. That's what Wall Street wanted to see. That's why Wall Street, at least for now, is up, thinking this is a Goldilocks report.
Right. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. Just right. 223,000 jobs created for the year, over 4 million jobs. If you noticed in that graph, there was a big red below zero loss box. That was Donald Trump, who is the only president ever to leave the presidency with fewer jobs than when he came to the presidency. I mean, he is an utter failure. And everything he does, he's a loser. He's a loser. He keeps on losing. Losses after loss. This is a man who not only lost the House, not only lost the Senate, lost the presidency. Okay? And he needs to go to jail And all these sycophantic, Gits and the Biggs and the Boberts and the Bob Goods from Virginia, they all need to go to jail too. Scott Perry, who switched his vote to McCarthy today, he's under indictment too. I mean, for a number of things, not just the insurrection, not just a conspiracy to overturn the results of a free and fair election. No, but also I believe he's in trouble for some child porn crap. I mean, these are some of the most vile people that you could possibly imagine in this country, and yet they were reelected to be representatives for their district, and all they want to do is destroy this country. I mean, what a real, I mean, and this is the 10-year Tea Party agenda. This is exactly what the Tea Party had always been about. And you remember we never could figure out like what would happen to them, like where would they go? Where would the Tea Party go? What would happen to the Tea Party? When is this all going to end, right? And it never did. It never did. It morphed into the Trump movement. It morphed into MAGA. MAGA is the Tea Party. MAGA is the Club for Growth. MAGA is Americans for Prosperity. MAGA is it's Ginny Thomas. It's the same exact people with the same exact agenda. There is nothing new under the sun. The only thing is that people were, kind of shocked, appalled, yes, but shocked at the successful ability for Donald Trump to sell a self-destruction agenda. Right? He was so able to make it seem appealing. He was so able to make it seem like a good thing that America would fail. He was so good at making it sound palatable that we would turn into an oligarchy or we would go to a fascist government, to the point where there's now a white nationalist movement that isn't even embarrassed to say that they're white nationalists and they're part of the movement. That's how ugly it's gotten. Okay, back during the Tea Party, yes, it started. I mean, do you remember it was all in reaction to the vehicle that they used to get you angry and to get you worked up was Obamacare, which, by the way, got me through the last 10 years. I told you my greatest Christmas present. Brother David, did a nice thing, sent us, socks and dish towels and pot holders and, bobbleheads and a really big package of good stuff. And, Jessica got me my intellectual badass sign and some dog pajamas that I just freaking love. And, I got some nice gifts. Howard bought me a beautiful purse. I get a purse every year from him. He's got spectacular taste in the bags. But the best present that I got was my Medicare card. But anyway, so the Tea Party started in reaction to, hey, America, you're going to be able to quit your job, start your own business, and still have health care coverage. And guess what? No pre-existing condition is going to, make you priced out of the market, right? And it was a great thing. And I quit my job. And I started my own thing. I started my own business. Because I knew I could have health care. And thank God I did, because guess what happened? I quit my job, in 2014? 2015, cancer! Hey! But I was able to get medical care early, which is the key. It is the key to success in beating back cancer. Get an early diagnosis. I was able to get my yearly mammograms for free. And, one year I came up perfectly fine, and the next year I came up not so fine. So I knew whatever happened was early. It was beginning. It was caught early, and it was. And so I kept on building my business while I was going for radiation. Okay? And it was okay. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't horrific. But that's because of Obamacare. Anyway, when the Tea Party decided that this was going to be their vehicle to inflame America, healthcare that you can afford is a bad thing. They put Barack Obama's face, I'll never forget it. They drew him as some sort of a witch doctor, right? African, and put a bone through his nose. And even the media played this game. This is what incensed me. This is why I knew corporate media was cooked. Okay, they played the game. The biggest lie of that year was you can keep your doctor if you like him or her, right? They made that the biggest lie of the year. Oh, that was hardly the biggest lie of that year. The biggest lie of that year had to do with we were still in Iraq. We were still in Afghanistan, okay? But no, it was you could keep your doctor if you like your doctor. By the way, you actually could, because almost every doctor accepts all the plans that are on the exchange, almost all the plans, unless you do an HMO, and then you're doing it to yourself. You're choosing to be in a small network of doctors instead of a PPO or an EPO, which costs a little more, but you could keep your doctor. So that's when the racism started. That's when the hatred started. And this is where it ended.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
As we all watched, this is the irony of it all America watched it on television and saw it repeated and repeated. In the past months, we've heard you testify to the nation about what happened that day. What you were thinking of at the time it was happening. What you're thinking now. The threats, the violence, the savageness of what happened. The trauma. All real. And it's not exaggeration to say America owes you all. I really mean this. A debt of gratitude. One we can never fully repay unless we live up to what you did.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really salient point here that Joe Biden made today as he awarded the Presidential Citizens Medal to a dozen election workers, law enforcement officers, officials like Joycelyn Benson in Michigan. I honestly, this was a beautiful thing to watch. He also acknowledged Rusty Bowers from Arizona, the House Speaker, who resisted pressure from Rudy Giuliani to organize a legislative hearing on voter fraud and have the state legislature appoint an alternative slate of electors. Remember that? Yeah. So, and Joycelyn Benson and Al Schmidt, the former vice chair of Philadelphia's Board of Election, and Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, who had to flee their own homes because of the death threats that they were subjected to because Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani lied about them and edited videotape of what was going on in Fulton County in Atlanta. Remember that? They were Georgia election workers, and they were targeted by Rudy Giuliani with racist threats. I mean, I couldn't believe poor Ruby Freeman, who's an older woman. She's probably my age, maybe a little older. She had to leave her house for 2 freaking months. Her daughter, Shay Moss, all she wanted to do was give back to her community by being a election worker. That's all she wanted to do. And now I hope to God that they prevail in their defamation lawsuits against Rudy Giuliani, who subjected them to violent threats, racist threats, drove them out of their own homes for doing absolutely nothing except serving their country and being election, protection, election workers, counting ballots. Eugene Goodman, who was a police officer who we saw on that videotape lead the mob away from the Senate chamber. Remember him? Everybody sort of, because Eugene Goodman's a quiet man. He hasn't been on the TV. Michael Fanone has used it for good. He had a heart attack that day, okay? And, he nearly died. And he's decided to use his podium to express to people how important it is that we all recognize what that insurrection was aiming to do, and they didn't care who they had to step on or kill or hurt. I mean, it's such a terrible anniversary. It's such a disgusting day in this country's history, and yet it's not history. It's the present. It's current events because it's still happening. Just like Matt Getz says, he doesn't care how it happens, just that it does. And when I say it, he means the complete destruction of our democratic way of life. He would like to replace it with something more akin to autocracy, oligarchy, fascism, so that if you want to do business in the United States of America, you have to go through him. If you want to do business in the United States of America, you have to go through Lauren Boebert, Andy Biggs, Paul Gosar. Really, this is what they think, that they're trying to usher in a new era that is less messy, that is nothing to do with democracy, nothing to do with a representative republic or whatever you want to, really, it's just vile what their goal in all this is, so that they can be powerful and very wealthy. And you would think Matt Gaetz is already, from a rich family. It would be enough for him, but it's not enough for him. It's not. He wants the power too. But Michael Fanone suffered a heart attack, as you know, and yesterday he was, talking about how we're being held hostage by these violent extremists.
If I could guarantee one thing about the new House majority, it's this. This is just the beginning.
Yes.
This type of chaos will happen every single day in the House.
Yep.
As some of the most extreme politicians our country has ever seen hold our democracy hostage. I should know. Tomorrow marks 2 years since the day I almost died defending the Capitol from people who thought overthrowing the government was a good idea. The events of that day felt like a wake-up call for me and many others that political violence is real. The worst part is that our elected leaders allowed this to happen. And yet this week, people who encouraged and even attended the insurrection are now taking their places as leaders in the new House majority.
That is crazy.
People like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who said insurrectionists would have won on January 6th if she had been involved.
Right.
Or Representative Matt Gaetz, who encouraged voters to arm themselves at the polls. Or newly sworn in, or soon to be sworn in, Representative Derek Van Orden, who breached police barricades with the insurrectionist mob on January 6th. Yesterday, I delivered a letter to Marjorie Taylor Greene, signed by over 1,000 veterans, active duty service members, and military family members, demanding that they condemn political violence in all its forms. We cannot afford to brush political violence under the rug or turn a blind eye when others encourage it.
I really, you got to give him, so much credit for not hiding away. I mean, the guy had a heart attack that day. He suffered traumatic brain injury in that attack. Like 6 people died. 6 people died. Today they were actually ringing the bell to memorialize the dead. I mean, this was just...
Brian David Sicknick. Howard Charles Liebengood. Metropolitan Police Department officers Gunther Hashida, Kyle DeFreitag, and Jeffrey Smith.
Officer Billy Evans.
Please join me now in a 142nd moment of silence, in acknowledgement of the 140 officers who were seriously injured defending the Capitol on January 6th, 2021.
That's our country. That's America. That has to toll the bell for dead police officers because of a desire on the part of some people we have to share this country with to undo everything that is good about this country. democracy itself. Just shocking. Shocking. It's been 2 years. And the president of the United States, who organized this, who encouraged this, who tweeted during it, refused to stop it, refused to use his office to talk to his people who were doing it and tell them to stand back, stand down. No, he told them to stand back and stand by at the debate. Proud Boys, stand back, stand by. And they said, yes, sir, standing by, right? Waiting for the call. And he tweeted out, Mike Pence doesn't have the courage to do it. You have to go do it. And sat there and watched this whole debacle of violence, this whole bacchanalia of depravity happen on the TV and didn't lift a finger to stop it. In fact, was cheering for it, was happy that it was happening, is still not in jail. Don't forget that. Don't forget that, because the day is coming. It is coming. I don't know when, and I wish it would have come already, but the President of the United States previously, Scott Perry, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Andy Biggs, Mo Brooks, Scott Perry. There's a whole long list of perpetrators. And they're waiting to be sworn in yet again. Listen, that part of it's not even close to being over. I just hope there are some objections after we choose a speaker to them being seated. Let's see.